Well, let's take this to the next step. We drew last time our circle of tulips and got them colored in, but now we want to take that and let's make it into a finished piece of art. First thing that I want to do is change the background. Now for starters, I'm going to just give us a background color, and let's go with kind of a blue color. Maybe not that dark. And then, and remember to do the background color, you come down to the background layer and click on that circle, and that brings up your color picker. So now that I've got that done, let's turn off the line art and see what we have. Okay. It actually kind of washes out here, so let's go back to our background color and let's make that a little darker. That's a little bit too dark. And just play around with colors until you find something that you like. I mean, you go over here, that's going to wash out with yellow. You can click through and see if there is a combination that you like. I still kind of like either, well, that purple looks kind of good. So I'm going to kind of be in between the blue and the purple there. And that brings out everything nicely with the line art off. It shows up nicer. And so I like that. So let's go ahead and stay with that color. Again, you can choose whatever color you want. Then we're going to add another layer. Let's go over here and add another layer. But I want this layer to be way down here. So let's move it all the way down. And move it down here to the background, just above the background. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of texture. And to do that, I want to bring up my brush library. And then once my brush library comes up, I can scroll through and find something that might give a little bit of texture. So I'm going to come back here again to a blue and maybe just a lighter blue. And I'm going to just pick a couple brushes here. Let's see what we get. Yeah, we got that. That's okay. Not crazy about it. Try this one over here. Nah. Let's scroll back down through. Got some texture brushes. There's dotted texture. Let me make this larger. You see, because I have my layer at the very bottom, when I draw, it draws beneath the tulips, doesn't draw on top of them. So that's okay, not crazy about it. Take those off. Let's see what else we have here. That one hardly shows up. That one's okay. That's alright, but I don't think it works. Scroll down a little bit more. Let's see what else we have. Let's go into the artistic brushes. This is Wet Frayed Bristles. And that's so-so. How about over here, a wash brush? Let me try a little contrasting color here. Okay, that's not doing anything. So, come over here. And, no, well, that's adding something, but I'm not crazy about it. Take those off. Let's come over and try a couple other brushes here. See what we got here. This is hair. And I don't think I want hair. That's not doing anything. Conceptual. And I actually kind of like that. You notice it's real bright here because I was pushing harder. But if I don't push so hard, I can get kind of a nice little background look there. And again, there's not really a right or wrong. Here, what you want to do is find something that you like and that you like the look of. So I'm just going to continue on with my conceptual brush. I've got all my windows here. I need to get them out of the way so I can draw. Well, let's zoom back out a little bit. Okay, so that is the conceptual brush. And I'll show you something else that we can do once we get it on there, but let me see if I can even make that bigger. Just add a little variety there. Almost looks like clouds. Oops. Shrink that down a little bit again. And just play around a little bit. Okay, let me bring the brush library back up. Now there are colorless blenders. Let's see what a colorless soft flat brush will do. So I can actually come in here and I can, with that colorless soft flat brush, I can come in and kind of smooth this out to get a little bit more of a cloudy feel. And you know, when I'm drawing and working like this, a lot of times I'm not exactly sure what I'm going for at first, and then as I begin to work, I kind of see things that I am liking, and so I take that maybe a step farther. Like, you know, this is giving me a feel of sky and clouds, and so I may actually want to come in and, you know, enhance that a little bit. Got some synthetic paint brushes here. As you can tell, I'm just kind of playing right now. Let's move this up. Make this a little bit whiter. See what I get. No, I don't like that at all. And you can play, and I'm not going to, oops, didn't take that all the way out, did I? There we go. And you can play and have fun. Bleeding watercolor. See what that looks like. Yeah, it's kind of smallish. Well, not really. It's a pretty good size, actually. It's okay, but I don't really like it. I kind of like what I have right now. Okay, so that's adding a little texture, a little interest to the background. Again, you can work more with that. Turn off my brush library here. But what we want to do next is kind of come in and let's begin to work with our tulips and leaves and add a little visual interest to them. Well, we are in the final stage of our project, and what we have right now is a very nice stencil effect, which you could just stop with that if you wanted to, but I'm going to show you again how to dress it up just a little bit using the Airbrush tool. Now, if you remember from our stylized rose, the way we do this is by working on each layer separately and using lock transparency. So let me zoom in, and the reason that is very effective is because by working layer by layer and having saved these different colors on each layer, then it's almost as if I have the Symmetry tool turned back on, because if I work, for example, on layer 1 and turn on lock transparency and come over to my Airbrush tool, and what I want to do is I want to hit my color picker here. Okay, now on lock transparency on, this is the only petal that is going to be affected. So let's say I took a bright red and came in here and I just, wow, colored away, then you could see what it would affect just that petal. Now, see, I've got kind of an interesting effect here, and this is something I kind of call a happy accident at times. If you want a little variety, and I really kind of like how that turned out. What I did, and I was just playing. I wasn't even planning on coloring that way, but what I did was my Airbrush tool, the size is really big, as you can see here, and so as I was painting, this section was getting the full blast, but out here it was getting just kind of a hint. And like I said, I like that. That's kind of a happy accident. I hadn't planned that, but I think I'm going to stick with it because I like the variety that it gives me there. So I think we're going to go with that. And let's see what else we can do based on that. So what if we were, now we're going to come up to the next layer, which is going to let us work on this petal here. And what if we were to do something similar, but from the other direction? So let me move my panel out a little bit. And let's try doing the same thing. In fact, I'm not even going to change the colors, but I'm going to come from the other direction with my Airbrush tool. And let's see what we get. Okay, what did I do wrong? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Do you know what I did wrong? I forgot to turn on lock transparency. So let's hit undo. Let's come back here. And there we go. Okay, now let's try it. Okay, now, again, we're getting, see these ones are going to be darker. And then over here, okay, let me undo that a little bit. I'm going to shrink the Airbrush tool down a little bit more. It's going to give me a little bit more control. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, now let's pull out a little bit. kind of like that. All right, let's move this more centered again. And zoom in. And now for the little petal here. I'm not sure. Let's try let's shrink down the airbrush tool again. Let's go back here and close that. And let's stay with that red. Oops, wait a minute. I've got to make sure I'm on the right layer. And I also have to make sure that I've locked transparency on that layer. Okay, now, what if we just hit each of those just a little bit? Okay. And we zoom out a little bit. Okay, and I like that look. Right, there's a little variety. They're not all identical. And so let's do the same thing, but let's try it with the leaves this time. I think I'm going to leave the stems kind of like they are. I don't know that I'm going to really try to add any lining or shading in there. I think we're just going to keep those as is. So let's skip layer 8. That's the stems. Let's go to layer 9 and lock transparency. Now let's go to a different shade of green. Kind of a, let's go to a yellow green here. Okay, let's add some color to the leaves. I'm on layer 9. I've got transparency locked. Turn the Symmetry tool on. And I got my airbrush on. And now I can just come in and begin to add a little bit of highlighting in. Just to give those leaves a little bit of depth. Come up here, go to layer 10, which is going to be my other leaf. Again, because the Symmetry tool is on, I only have to color one of these. Okay, so I had dark leaves, highlighted light, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my color here a bit. Let's go down to a little darker. Change the hue just a little bit, just because we need a little variety there. And let's make sure we're on the right layer. Okay, so that's going to be for this leaf here. And oops, I forgot to lock transparency. Lock transparency. Make sure I'm on the airbrush tool. Okay, I don't like that. The value isn't good, so let's go ahead and darken that a little bit more. And I don't really like the hue either. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is, let's get our color picker, come over here and choose that green. We're going to use that for our shading. Okay, so we're back here. Let's try this again. And that I like better. Okay, so I'm just going to come in and give a little bit of substance to that one. Come up here again. And let's do the same thing here. And there you have it. Now again, we could play around even more. We could tweak things more. One thing I see that I'm not crazy about is the stem. It's actually so bright, it's really kind of standing out and I think distracting. So let's go down to layer 8. And I've got my shading color in. So make sure that transparency is locked. I'm going to just come in and use my shading color to tone that down a bit. It's not about the stem, it's about the tulip. Okay, let's pull that out. And I like that pretty much. It's still a little bright at the bottom. Let's okay. And I like that. Let's turn off Symmetry. And something else that we can do just to make this a more finished looking piece. So we can come up to the crop tool. And it's like the select tool, but it's going to trim off this extra part of the image here. Give us a little bit, and it will actually let me move it around so I can position it the way I want to. And when we're ready, we just turn off crop, and there we go. And so we have a stencil effect with circle or ring of tulips. And had a happy accident with the airbrush, but I like the effect that it gave us. And that's one of the things that, again, is cool about digital art. Play around with different things. The best way to learn how to use these apps is to experiment. And sometimes when you're doing something and you make a mistake, it turns out to be a whole lot more fun and a lot prettier than maybe what you originally intended. I hope you enjoyed this project. We'll be back with another one as we continue to learn how to draw digitally and paint digitally. And I hope you, again, have enjoyed this. I'm Jim Pence with See the Light, seethelightshine.com. I hope you will check out our other videos, that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please continue watching and check out our art class and art projects series at our website, seethelightshine.com. Thanks so much, and we'll be back with another tutorial next time.